40,000 years ago, in the forests of what is now Germany, night did not end when the sun went down. It began long before Germany existed as a country, or Germanic tribes as history later knew them. Small groups of humans lived in this land during the Ice Age. In this video, we will step into their world after dark. And look at what real evidence tells us about how they may have survived the night. Imagine total darkness. Not the darkness of a city at night, but the deep, complete darkness of a European forest 40,000 years ago, with no artificial light for hundreds of miles in any direction. The only light comes from a small fire, glowing like a tiny orange island in an ocean of black. Before we go further, one quick clarification. The people living in this land 40,000 years ago were not Germanic tribes in the historical sense we usually think of. They were some of the earliest anatomically modern humans to settle in Europe, moving into the region we now call southern Germany, specifically an area called the Swabian Jura. What they left behind still gives us real physical evidence of how they may have lived, and importantly, how they may have survived the night. Quick question for you. Have you ever tried imagining true, complete darkness with no phone light, no street lights, nothing at all? Keep that feeling in mind as we walk through this. Why night was the most dangerous time? For early humans living in this region, nightfall likely meant something very different than it does for us today. This was an Ice Age landscape, shared with large predators like cave lions, cave hyenas, and wolves, animals that were often more active after dark. Fire likely played a central role here, not just for warmth, but for basic survival. A controlled fire could help keep predators at a distance, provide enough light to see approaching danger, and offer a small, defendable space where a group could rest without needing to remain fully alert every single moment. This means that simply making it through the night safely may have been one of the most important daily challenges these early communities faced. Long before we get to anything else they may have done once the fire was lit, firelight was not just practical once a fire was burning, and the immediate threat of the dark was pushed back. Evidence suggests these early humans used that firelit time for far more than just staying warm. Archaeological discoveries from this exact region and time period reveal something remarkable. Some of the earliest known evidence of art and music in all of human history. In caves scattered throughout the Swabian Jura, archaeologists have discovered small carved figurines made from mammoth ivory, dating back roughly 40,000 years. Among them is a striking human-shaped figure with the head of a lion, now known as the Lion Man, one of the oldest pieces of figurative art ever found. Have you ever sat around a fire with friends or family and noticed how naturally conversation and storytelling seem to happen? That same pull toward connection may stretch back tens of thousands of years. The oldest music ever found. Alongside these carved figures, archaeologists uncovered something even more surprising in these same caves: flutes. Carefully crafted from bird bone and mammoth ivory, with small, evenly spaced holes for playing different notes, these instruments are considered the oldest confirmed musical instruments ever discovered. This tells us something meaningful about how these early humans may have spent at least part of their nights. Alongside basic survival, there also appears to have been space for music, creativity, and shared experience, activities that likely required a level of safety and trust within the group. Researchers have suggested that music and art like this may not have simply been entertainment. Some believe these practices could have helped strengthen social bonds within and between different groups, potentially giving these communities a real advantage in surviving the harsh conditions of Ice Age Europe. A possible reason behind the Lion Man. The exact meaning behind figures like the Lion Man remains uncertain, and researchers are careful not to claim more than the evidence can support. Still, many archaeologists believe a figure combining human and animal features, carved by firelight after dark, may reflect early forms of myth, storytelling, or symbolic belief. If that interpretation is accurate, it suggests something powerful. Even in a world filled with real, immediate physical danger, these early humans may have still found time and mental space to imagine, to create meaning, and to tell stories, activities we still recognize as deeply human today. What about you? Do you think storytelling and creativity are basic human needs, even in survival situations? These ancient discoveries suggest that idea might be older than almost anything else we know about human culture. Recent discoveries suggest even more. More recent research on artifacts from these same caves has pointed to something even more surprising: carved symbols that some researchers believe may represent one of the earliest known forms of symbolic communication, possibly even an early predecessor to writing systems that would not fully develop until tens of thousands of years later. This research remains an active and evolving area of study, and scientists continue to debate exactly how much meaning these early symbols may have carried. But even the possibility possibility adds another layer to how we understand these nighttime firelit hours, not just as quiet survival, but potentially as an early space for organized communication and shared knowledge. Piecing together a typical night. Based on this evidence, a typical night for these early communities may have involved a mix of vigilance and connection. Someone likely remained alert, watching the darkness beyond the firelight for signs of predators. Others may have worked on tools, carved small figures from ivory, or played simple melodies on a bone flute. Children may have listened to stories passed down through the group, some possibly tied to the mysterious half-human figures later found, carved in these very caves. None of this can be known with total certainty, but the physical evidence left behind strongly suggests a night filled with more than just fear and survival. The role of the group itself. It is also worth remembering that survival during this period rarely depended on any single person. These early communities were likely small, tightly connected groups, where cooperation mattered just as much as individual skill or bravery. Watching for predators, maintaining a fire through the night, and caring for children all likely required shared responsibility among group members. Some researchers believe this reliance on close social bonds, strengthened through shared activities like music and storytelling, may have given these early modern human groups a meaningful advantage over other hominin populations living in Europe at the same time, including Neanderthals, while the full picture remains an active area of scientific research. The idea suggests that the nighttime rituals we have been describing were not simply a pleasant addition to daily life. They may have played a genuine role in helping these early communities survive and expand across an unfamiliar, often dangerous landscape. A small story to think about. Imagine sitting close to a small fire, the cold ice age air visible with every breath, eyes catching the orange firelight as you listen to a simple melody played on a hollow bone flute nearby. Somewhere just beyond the light, the forest holds real danger. Yet here, in this small circle of warmth, there is still room for music, art, and connection. That contrast, real danger, sitting just outside a small circle of shared safety and creativity, might be one of the most human experiences imaginable, even across a gap of 40,000 years. The earliest humans living in what is now Germany faced real, constant danger once the sun went down. Yet the evidence they left behind tells us they did not simply endure the night in fear. They created music. They carved meaningful figures. They may have shared stories that helped explain their world. Even surrounded by darkness and real threats, these early communities still found ways to build connection. And that instinct may be one of the oldest and most enduring parts of who we are. Like, share, and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.